welcome to the session. Sorry for the slightly delayed start, but today's session, as you know, we are talking about data interpretation and logical reasoning, and we are looking at a 75-day preparation plan for the same. What should be a strategy, how you should work, and how you should plan your preparation over a 75-day period, so that you can maximize your prep and you can maximize your outcomes. Now, as you know, data interpretation and logical reasoning is one of the most critical aspects of your CAT exam, specifically simply because of the fact that when you talk about DI and LR, essentially, I mean, in a lot of ways, I feel this is kind of, I can't call this shortcut, but it's the critical section that takes you through the CAT, because of the fact that, I mean, see, whatever happens in your verbal and whatever happens in your quants, DILR, obviously, in the data interpretation logical reasoning section, you're going to have 4 opportunities across 4 sets of questions. You're going to have 4 opportunities across 4 sets of questions, which can actually either make or break your exam. Each of these opportunities is an opportunity of a differential in your marks, in your CAT marks by 15 marks. Because if you can get through, you can, I mean, essentially when you start solving a DILR set, as you know, there are only two possible outcomes of it. One outcome is that, I mean, or we can actually think of 4 possible ways a DILR set can go in the exam for you. The 4 possible ways a DILR set can go in the exam for you is the best possible ways. It goes absolutely smoothly, and you get to the answers of the set. The second way it could go is that you start facing a little bit of difficulty as you keep going, but you are able to overcome these difficulties and you end up with a positive outcome in the set. The third is you start solving the set, and while you get some hang of the set, you have problems as you keep going ahead, and the last outcome of the set is a negative outcome, and the fourth is that you have absolutely no idea of the set, and you really don't get your teeth into it, and you can't solve the set at all. And obviously, while the first one is obviously the most sought after, this is what you're trying to look for, but your data interpretation logical reasoning section outcome essentially depends on whether you're able to convert these sets, because this experience of sets in which you'll get stuck in between, and you will have to push yourself beyond the boundaries and to be able to get through the set. This experience is bound to happen to everybody. It happens to everybody, the best people also. The key differentiator between the people who get the 15 marks and people who don't on individual sets is basically whether you're able to cross the threshold and end with a positive outcome or not. Because the danger in the DI section is when you face trouble in a set and you keep going and you keep trying to solve the set, and you end up wasting somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes in the set because you got involved in the set, and the end of it, you're not able to come up with a positive outcome. This is the danger, because then what it leaves you is not only has the set gone from you, but it's also taken a significant amount of the 40 minutes that you had to start with. You're down to 27 minutes, and you are down to 3 sets, and the only information you have is that I can't do this one, and you have absolutely no marks at all for the 13 minutes that you put in, and you might have done a lot of correct things in those 13 minutes. You might have done a lot of things correct in those 13 minutes, but it's not counting. It's not showing in your score. And that's the biggest problem. And as you know, 15 marks in the CAT is kind of worth its weight in gold in today's scenario, because 15 marks can actually break your outcome. Last year, somebody who got 47, 48 marks in CAT 2023, 47, 48 marks, net marks in the paper. These kind of people scored a 92 percentile, and somebody who got 63 marks in the same paper ended up with a 97 to 98 percentile. And somebody who got 78 marks ended up with a 99 plus a 99.2 percentile kind of thing. So this is the gap between two sets which you are, where you end up with a negative outcome. Two sets where you wrestled with the set and ended up with a negative outcome, versus somebody else who was able to. The only differential between these two people, the 92 percentile and the 99 percentile guy, is that both of them wrestled with the sets, but this 99 percentile guy came up trumps on both those sets, and that's the end of it. So, in a lot of ways, this logic or this aspect kind of simplifies your challenge, because it's very clear. You cross over these sets that you're not able to get through. You cross over these sets in the exam, and you're done. There's nothing that can stop you from cracking this exam if you can get those two extra sets done. So the way, I mean, when you talk about DILR in the last 75 days, this preparation for DILR in the last 75 days cannot be agnostic to what is happening in your mocks. So when you look at your mocks and your mock scores, whatever scores you are at, whatever score you are at, whatever scores, and as most of you would know, mock scores, they start hitting after a period of growth, they start hitting a plateau. They start hitting a plateau. So whatever your level of plateau is, wherever your plateau is, if you can add one set more, one DILR set more to your solving, just one DILR. Let the verbal be where it is. Let the quant be where it is. Just one DILR set more. One DILR set more in your outcomes or in your exams. You suddenly jump your score to the next level. It could be a difference of 3 to 5 percentile if you're talking about CAT percentiles here. So that's one of the reasons why you should take the DILR, especially the last 75 days. The advantage of DILR, as you know, the big advantage that DILR has in the context of the last 75 days is that this is one section that even if you have not done much till now, I mean, if you have not done quants at all, for example, the 75 days, if this session was about how to prepare quants in 75 days, I would be talking about the next 40 days of completing the 20 chapters, etc. I mean, only after you complete the chapters can you start thinking about transforming the work you did into scores, right? In verbal also, as you know, the preparation cycles are pretty lengthy, and 75 days might be well limited time to, you might still fine tune things in verbal and quants, but doing it from scratch is very difficult. But DILR, a 75-day preps, 75-day strategy can actually be something where you go from zero to hero. It's got that possibility there, right? And that's one of the reasons why you should end up taking DILR in the last 75 days, especially very, very seriously. If you're not awoken to it yet, if you've not awoken to it yet, you should be or I mean, I don't I'm just checking that uh, I think this by mistake this session canceling message is gone. Don't worry, I'm here and we are continuing this, right? So so this is the first factor that you need to understand about this. So and as you know, data interpretation logical reasoning, the advantage why 75 is significant is that there's no theory to study, whether it's DI or LR. There's absolutely no theory to study. All you have to do is prepare your DILR preparation, both DI as well as LR. The preparation is through problem solving experiences. The preparation is essentially through problem solving experiences. So what happens in both data interpretation and logical reasoning is that you keep going through problem solving experiences. And when you want to improve your data interpretation and or logical reasoning, you essentially order or pick up more problem solving experiences. And when you talk about problem solving experiences, they can either be in assisted form or they can be in self problem solving form. There can only be only two forms in which you're doing problem solving experiences. So you basically have a duality between these two. A little bit of assisted, some self, a little bit of assisted, some self, a little bit of assisted, some self, and you keep rotating between these two modes of problem solving, learning through problem solving experiences, and you keep upgrading your data interpretation logical reasoning, because the fact that when you talk about when you talk about DI and LR, one of the things that you have to understand is that both data interpretation as well as logical reasoning, they become repetitive in nature. So while initially you will not get to see that, but over a period of time, you would realize that they start becoming repetitive in nature. And the maturity of your DILR prep. Now, of course, in this session, there'll be two kinds of people. One will be those people who have already prepared decently for your DILR. There'll be one kind of people who are already prepared decently for your DILR. And there'll be other people who are just starting off on DILR. So I'll be talking in the context of both people who have already prepared and as well as people who are who are just starting off. I'll be talking about both of your preparation structure and strategy for both of you. But before I go ahead, let me just give you the promotions of the day. There are two courses that might interest you as you move on. That might interest you, which is coming from Mindworkzz. One course is the 10 mock test series, the CAD experience test series. This is a product which we are giving away literally for almost no cost at 199 rupees, just to see the seriousness of the student. Otherwise, I was even inclined to give it free of cost. But the CAD experience test series is a series of 10 tests which are personally built by me, which would give you the exact experience of problem solving in the CAD in terms of the difficulty level as well as the twists and turns that you get, the logical twists and turns you get in every DI, LR, and quant section. And of course, the verbal of this test series is being personally created by Meenakshi Upadhyay ma'am. So you can actually be absolutely sure of the intensity and the quality of every verbal question also, which uh, unfortunately in a lot of test series that we see a lot of ambiguity in the verbal questions, especially even the big name test series have a lot of ambiguity in their verbal section, and that's something that we make sure. And then of course we also launched the CAT 24 to 2024 DILR crash course, where you can actually get all the assisted problem solving you want from my side, which in addition to whatever you're doing. So as I said, data interpretation, when somebody wants to teach you data interpretation, basically the only way to teach data interpretation or logical reasoning is to actually pick up high quality questions and take you through experiences of problem solving. So a lot of assisted problem solving, I think at over 150 sets plus I must have solved in this course for students, which you can actually take up, and these are available for you on the Mindworkzz site. You can actually look for them, and of course you'll get a mailer from our side about these courses, so you can actually buy them with the links, etc. So coming back uh, to what I was saying, now that the promotion is out of the way, uh, you need to understand one thing. So I was talking about the fact that, I mean, when you talk about the maturity of your DILR prep, you measure it through three markers. You measure it through three markers. One marker of measuring it is basically about the number of sets you have experienced. So this you measure three things for your DI. and for ALR. You measure the number of sets that you have done under assisted problem solving. You also measure the number of sets you have tried in self-problem solving. And a third number is the number of sets you have solved in self-problem solving. So, decently matured student would have kind of reached a point where he might have seen or under assisted problem solving. Assisted problem solving would mean you pick up a set, you try it, and then you watch a video solution for the same. So anywhere between 50 to 100 assisted problem solving. And this is both for data interpretation separately and logical reasoning separately. So 50 to 100 sets for assisted problem solving, around 250 sets of tried for self problem solving, and solved. Obviously, the solving, there'll be a solving ratio. If you pick up 250 sets and try to solve, you'll not be able to solve all of them. So maybe somewhere around, if you have a 70% to 80% hit rate, so anywhere between 175 to 200 sets of successfully solved sets. When you reach this point, you go from somebody who's 0, 0, 0, and you reach this point, you are decently matured. But whether this maturity is good enough for your exam and you are ready with this thing, whether you need to do more, etc., depends on what's happening. And you also correlate this with two things. One is what's happening in the mocks with you. So every mock will have 4 sets of DILR. There might be some exclusive DI sets. There might be some exclusive LR sets. And there might be some sets which is a mixture of DI and LR. So one of the things that I tell people to measure, and this is something that you should be very keenly watching about yourself, that, I mean, of course, when you take a mock, you take the mock in 40 minutes and you have an outcome. So you know the kind of score you would be getting when you start taking mocks. So you'll have a score range that you're getting. You may say, 1 set solve ho raha hai, yeah, I'm able to solve 1.5 sets, or I'm able to solve 2 sets or more, whatever is happening. That's fine. But one of the key measurements to tell me whether a student, if a student comes to me and says, sir, DILR mein kya karna? What should I do to improve my DILR? The measurement I would be interested in is that if I give the student a mock paper, a real-time CAD experience mock paper, or Arun Sharma CAD challenge mock paper, and give this to you for 60 minutes. I give this to you for 60 to 70 minutes. I give you a mock for 60 to 70 minutes. What I'm interested in knowing is, are you able to cross over to the solution of all 4? Because reaching this point is a significant milestone in your DILR prep. So out there amongst you people, as you're watching this session, there'll be some of you who might be in a position to solve 2 out of 4. So basically what I'm doing is I'm saying that let's remove the time limit. Let's remove the time limit. Let's see your ability. Do you have the ability to cross over each of those sets if I remove the time factor? Because when you add time factor, then more angles come into whether you can solve it under time pressure or not. But you can only have a chance of solving the 4 sets in the exam in 40 minutes if you have this clearance that you can do it in 60 minutes. If somebody has this outcome in 60 to 70 minutes, then in 40 minutes, the best thing that this person can hope for is maybe 1 set, 1.5 sets maximum. Best case scenario is he gets both these sets done. So he'll only get 8 to 10 attempts. And if he wants to increase his attempts, unless he reaches this point from here, there's no way he or she can actually improve his score. So out there amongst you guys, there must be people who have this pattern right now. There must be other people who have this pattern right now. And when you pick up a mock set, you are able to solve 3 and not able to solve the 4th. So every mock, exam mein one of the four sets, which is the most difficult one, you are not able to do. These people are not able to do two of the four. And then there's this category of people and then of course there might be some starters amongst you who currently only have the ability to solve one out of the four or zero out of the four. And you don't have the ability to do the other three. So, and this is with no time pressure. I'm giving you 15-20 minutes. You can take 80 minutes if you want, but I want this. So what happens is once you, I mean, this is the first port of call. I mean, it's like when you go on a journey, suppose you're going from city A to city C and city B comes in between. Unless you cross city B, you can't reach city C, right? So similarly, when you're going from somebody who does not know what DILR is and starting off in DILR, to you want to reach a point where you can compete with the 100 percentile in DILR who will solve three sets. By the way, last year, three sets in 40 minutes was enough to get you 100 percentile in DILR. So, and even this year, I would think that three sets out of four should be enough to get get you through to 100 percentile in DILR. So the key factor, I mean, as I was saying, if you're going from city A to city C, the crossing of city B becomes critical. Unless you've crossed city B, you know that you're not going to reach city C. So that's the whole idea. I mean, unless if you want to dominate your DILR section, your first focus is to reach this point. Your first focus is to reach this point where you reach this point that you give me 70 minutes, give me 80 minutes, take away the clock. I'll be able to solve every set you give me. That's the key. Give me 20 minutes per set, I'll solve every set that you can give me. So unless you reach that point, I mean, if you belong to any of these other categories, your first focus is to push yourself towards that objective. Because once you can reach that point, I mean, once you have reached city B, if this is city B for me, where this is a student who can solve all the sets given 70 to 80 minutes. Once you have reached this point, the remaining part of the preparation is actually downhill. Because after this, your preparation is just on efficiency. Okay, I have become a 15 to 20 minute solver of any set. Give me any set, give me 20 minutes, take the answers from me. Right? I've reached this point. I've become a 15 to 20 minute solver of any set that you give me. So then the next part of preparation, the downhill part of the preparation is, okay, now I know how to handle a DILR set. I'm focused now on efficiency. I want to read a set only once. I want to improve my writing or reduce my writing. I want to make clearer pictures. And I want to move from somebody who is a 15-20 minute solver of a set. I want to move from somebody who can tell me, give me a DILR set, give me 20 minutes and take the answers from me. From there, I want to move to somebody who can do it in 12 to 15. And from there, I want to move to somebody who can do it in 10 to 12. Because this is where the 100 percentile reside. Right? This is where the 100 percentiles reside. So, obviously, what are the components of reaching this point? So, of course, I mean, it's the whole idea then is to cross this over. And obviously, when you're sitting for data interpretation, logical reasoning preparation, the only two, you can't study theory in it because there's no theory in data interpretation, logical reasoning. So the only two things you could be doing for tomorrow morning when you're sitting for a DILR prep, the only two things you could be doing problem solving experiences, problem solving exposure in an assisted form. You could be taking my crash course and watching the videos of how I solve those sets, or you could be doing problem solving in a self problem solving form. There's only two things you could be doing. And as a special listing on YouTube, we are coming up with a 12 set series as an assisted problem solving, 12 high quality sets of data interpretation on my YouTube channel on assisted problem solving of data interpretation, logical reasoning to help you prepare even if you do not take our course. We'll be doing this for you. And of course, if you think you need more, you obviously are free to take the program. So coming back to this, once you understand this, then the components. Okay, you need to understand the other factor is, uh, you need to understand that data interpretation is a separate subject, logical reasoning is a separate subject, right? So what happens is, when you build your data interpretation skills, and you're building it, let's say, through 100 sets of assisted problem solving and 300 sets of self problem solving, these are the numbers typically you need to get to, right? And again, the key, one might ask, or one might focus on, I'll come to this, that okay, when you pick up 300 sets of self problem solving, you might not be able to solve everything. So there'll be a self problem solving tried, and there'll be a self problem solving solved. So 300 tried, 220 solved, something like this will happen. So what do you do with the remaining 80 sets is part of your preparation. We'll just come to that. But once you have this framework, and as you start going through more and more sets, as I told you, after a little bit of time, data interpretation becomes repetitive in nature. It becomes repetitive in nature, and you start building skills of DI solving, and your skills start going from 0 to 100 as you keep doing more and more sets, right? Now, when it's repetitive in nature, what is repetitive in nature? I'll just come to that a little bit later. Now, parallelly, you build your LR skills through another 100 sets of assisted problem solving and another 300 sets of self problem solving. Right now, when I'm telling you these numbers, I want you ideally to be doing outside what you do in the mocks. So if you're planning to take around 40 to 50 mocks, let's say you're planning to take around 40 mocks, 40 into 4, 160 sets of that. Plus, if you go to the PYQs of CAT, you'll find another 100 sets in PYQs. So these two are outside this part. So typically what I do is I tell people that to use my data interpretation and logical reasoning books, in which we have given you these many sets to experience what DI and LR is. And your LR problem solving, also your ability in LR problem solving, your skills in LR problem solving goes again from 0 to 100 as you keep going through this, because after a certain point, LR also becomes repetitive in nature. But the repetitions that happen in LR are slightly different than the repetitions that happen in DI. So you need to understand that as you start building your skills. So what my advice, so when you are asking me for a 75-day target approximately, and what I should be doing for somebody, I mean these are not hard and fast in terms of the numbers. हो सकता है तुम्हारा DI का काम 50 और 200 में भी हो जाए, right? But ये 100 दो 300 जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ, what I'm talking about these numbers, की इतने में DILR नहीं सीखोगे तो कभी नहीं सीखोगे, right? So this much is definitely for any, whether you're very weak, your learning cycles are slow, your learning cycles are fast, and you can accelerate your learning cycles. This much might also do it. You might just say, okay, I'll do this much outside what I'm doing in the mocks and the previous year questions, and the remaining I'll do from a book or from other content that I'm doing. So essentially, if you look at it, it's a game of around 500 to 700 sets of exposure. And if you're dividing it in 75 days, it will boil down to somewhere around 7 to 9 sets per day. Right? And of course, there will be a lot of you who already add some numbers of problem solving. So in case you've already done 300 of this set, if you already add 300 sets of solving, then another 200 to 400, which would mean around 5 sets per day. So, right? So you can find these sets, you can use my data interpretation book and my logical reasoning book, DI for CAT, how to prepare for DI for CAT, how to prepare for LR for CAT. Then you'll find these sets in the mocks, and you'll also find these sets in the previous year questions. So when you're talking about previous year questions of DI or LR in CAT 2001 to 2008, you will find a spattering of these kind of sets which are coming now. So maybe you might find 15, 20 sets there. And the remaining 60 to 80 sets you'll find through 2017 to 2023. And of course, part of your journey is that you have to know every set that has been asked in the CAT in the past. And you not just know, you have to be in-depth research on both of on every set that has come in the CAT. Right. So your daily target would be somewhere around 5 sets to 8 sets. Of course, you also have to do this along with your verbal and your quants preparation. So you have to look at correlated with where you are in those. You also have to correlate with how much you've already done and how much you need to do. So, I mean, this journey that I'm talking about, I was talking about city A, city B. This journey will take somebody who can't do any set. This whole journey of 700 sets can take you from somebody who can't do any set to somebody who can do all four in 15 to 20 minutes to somebody who can do all four in 10 to 12 minutes also. So this journey might be sufficient if your learning structures are good and you're learning quickly. This journey can take you all the way there. So if you are starting from a position where you are already able to do 2 sets and not doing the other two, then maybe this journey might just be 300 more sets, right? And so this is the basic structure, or this is the basic view that you need in your DILR preparation. Now, while you build your DI skills separately and your LR skills separately, when you actually go into the CAT, you will have some sets that are exclusive DI. You will have some sets which are exclusive LR. But then you will have some sets which are a mix of DI and LR. In my books, I've covered those sets, the DILR mix sets, in the DI book that's been covered under the logical DI section, where I've given more than 150 sets of logical data interpretation. And in the LR book, these sets have been covered in the quantitative reasoning section chapter. And of course, in the mock tests of the LR book. So you'll get a lot of pattern. But so when you are doing these mixed DILR questions in the CAT, you might pick up 2 skills that you learned in data interpretation and 2 skills that you learned in logical reasoning. You really don't know. When you come out of the exam, if I ask you, was it DI, was it LR? You say, I don't know. I was doing both DI and LR together. And that's how we are at. And that's what I was saying, Apurva. I'm not saying that you have to do 7 to 9 sets daily. It depends on where you're starting. If you're at 0 right now, then you might have to do that. But if you're already at 300, 400 sets, so you might it might work with another. I mean, with let's say 3 sets a day or 2 sets a day, 4 sets a day. That depends on where you are and how much work you need to do, right? So that's not something which I'm saying that this thing I told you. I qualified at 7 to 9 sets a day in the context of where you are. If you're at 0, you can't solve a single set right now. That's the work you'll need to do. So you'll have to see where you are. If you have to go to Delhi, it does not mean that you have to take a flight from Bangalore all the time. If you're already in Meerut, you might not have to take that flight, right? Now, the next part about DI prep. Now let's look at it from one more angle, which I tell my students, which I talk a lot on my course. What creates these two situations? I told you that when you pick up a DILR sets, there are 4 kinds of situations. A smooth solving set, a set where there are lots of ups and downs, but you end up with a solution. A set where there are lots of ups and downs, but you end up with no solution. And a set in which you get no idea and you can't solve the set at all. I'll be taking the questions a little bit later. Please remember, DILR is not in chapters, so don't look for chapters and don't prepare DILR through chapters. I'll explain that as I come back to the individual sections. So When one of this happens in data interpretation, what could be the underlying reason for this? So if you can do an underlying reason analysis specifically for this, अगर तुमको सेट कुछ समझ में नहीं आया, you don't get it, you are far away from the solution. So we can just ignore this for the time being. But this is what will be happening to somebody who has already done 200, 300 sets. So the crossover from here to here can actually be done by understanding what the underlying reason is and removing that reason. So if you were to ask me as a trainer, I've been training DILR for the last 30 years. I've been tracking the cat myself for the last 25, 30 years. I've tracked it 22 times myself, as you know. So if you were to ask me this question, what are the underlying reasons? What is my observation about, okay, somebody was not able to solve a DILR set. What happened? So in data interpretation, the underlying reason is always about the data structure. So what happens in data interpretation? In data interpretation, preparation time structure, preparation logic is that you have to build your data interpretation skills first through doing a lot of traditional DI, approximately 100 sets of traditional DI. And then the next 200 to 300 sets of solving could be on logical DI. And what is the difference between traditional DI and logical DI? If I were to give that to you in one sentence, traditional DI is only about data reading, data extraction, and calculations, question understanding, question language understanding, and calculations. So traditional DI is just about this. You'll be given a chart. You just have to understand what the numbers in the chart mean, what the units are, and based on the question which is asked, you create the calculation required and you calculate and get to the answer. Logical DI, on the other hand, is basically built, which is of course what is more important cat these days. Not to undermine the importance of this, unless you can do this well, you can't hope to be doing logical DI. So logical DI, on the other hand, is all about data analysis. And when you talk about the kind of data you have in data interpretation, data and the kind of data analysis you have to do in data interpretation, data is always about variables. And the data structure that you face is basically in terms of understanding how many variables there are. And when you talk about variables in any mathematical or data interpretation situation, variables can come either named or silent. So they can come with a name in the problem, in the situation, or they can be silent. What I mean by this is, suppose I give you the sales revenue of a company across 5 years, and I give you the profit of the company across those 5 years. So if I give you these two variables, then variable 1 minus variable 2 gives you a variable I'm not talking about. It's a variable, the cost of the company for the 5 years. So if I give you a variable data structure like this, where V1 and V2 are stated variables or named variables, and V3 is a silent or a hidden variable which you should perceive, I can ask you questions about V1, about V2, or I can ask you questions about V3, because V3 is derivable from the numbers that I've given you in the set. So what happens is every DI set is about 4, 5, 6 variables. Some of them might be named. A couple of them might be hidden inside the set, which is emerging from the relationships inside the set. And when you have 5, 6 variables interacting with each other, what I mean by data structure is basically how they interact. What is the relationships between the different variables involved. So when a student is not able to solve a DI set, I've always seen that 80% of the times, the primary reason for not being able to solve a DI set is because of the fact that you do not understand or you're missing out the variables in the problem. See, if I tell you that, I mean, I was giving this example to my batch in Connaught Place this morning, that when, I mean, a DI question is like a cons question. It's like a cons question. A cons question is in a real life scenario, you insert a numerical element. In DI and a cons question might be about 2 or 3 variables. A DI set might be about 10 variables, 8 variables, 10 variables. So the number of variables that you are handling in a DI set is much more than in a cons question. So if I'm telling you that I was going from Delhi to Jaipur and it was a very nice day, the weather was very nice, the traffic was light, I had a good car, good music on my car. This I'm telling you a story. When does it become a cons problem? It becomes a cons problem when I tell you that I was driving from Delhi to Jaipur at 70 kilometers per hour. So I've introduced a variable into the question. So the key insight, and I mean, somebody was asking about chapters. So please understand that there are no chapters in data interpretation. Pie chart, bar chart, line graph, these are not chapters. They are data representation. In DI, these are not chapters. Why I don't call pie chart as a chapter? Because if I give you a pie chart and I ask you, this is one part of the pie and this is another part of the pie, second pie, and ask you what is the percentage increase here? Can I put the same data in a table? This number in this table here and this number in this table here. And can I ask you the percentage increase from here to here? So when I ask you these two questions, are they different questions? What is the difference? I'm giving you this in a table form. There I'm giving you in a pie chart form. The question is same. The skills required to get to the answer to the question is same. So anybody who takes the approach that I'm studying pie chart as a chapter in DI is actually going the wrong way. Yeah, pie chart is a data representation. You can study pie charts till you don't understand how to read pie charts. But once your reading of pie charts is over, it's not like, I mean, if I'm solving a time split distance question, the skills required to solve it is very different from solving a permutation combination question. I cannot transfer the skills that are required here into this. And vice versa. I cannot transfer the skills I gained in permutation combination into that. But a pie chart question where I'm asking you the percentage change between these two numbers can be easily transformed into a tabular question. So a student who's studying pie chart as a separate chapter, what skill is he trying to generate? The only skill you generate in the pie chart chapter is how to read a pie chart, which you already know. Right? So your preparation cannot be chapter headed. It has to be, I mean, it has to be traditional and then logical. 100 sets of traditional के बाद सब कुछ repetitive हो जाएगा. When I talk about repetitions, what repeats in DI? Data representations repeat. Question language repeats. The kind of calculations you come across, that starts becoming repetitive. The data structure repeats. Right? Suppose I give you 3 numbers, 40, 10, 20. And I tell you that the relationship is there's a bus traveling from Delhi to Jaipur. It reached, let's say, station X, or it reached city X. When it left Delhi, there were 40 people. Right? When it left Delhi, there were 40 people. At station X, 10 people got in. So it now became 50 people. Nobody got out. And when it reached station Y, when left station Y, 20 people were in the bus. Nobody entered at this point. So what you get in this case is 40 plus 10 minus 30. You realize there's a variable here of how many people got down at this place. So that sort is giving 20. So this is a data structure connecting these numbers. Number of people in the bus, right? Or I give you this, let's say that the 40 people to start with, 10 people entered in Delhi, 40 people, the bus started with 40 people. At city X, 10 people entered the bus, but when the bus left city X, there were only 20 people in the bus. So what do you make out from this story? You make out that there are 30 people who got down at city X, right? Now this data structure is the same as this data structure that I had some storage of rice in my house last night, and I had 40 kgs of rice last night. And today morning I bought 10 kgs of rice. When I checked at the end of the day, my rice box had 20 kgs of rice. So what can you make out in this scenario? I had 40 kgs, I added 10 kgs, but now I'm only left with 20 kgs. So you realize that there must be 30 kgs that I consumed. So two different studies, situations with the same data structure. So data structures will start becoming repetitive because ultimately, अगर V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6 के बीच में प्लस माइनस इंटू और डिवाइडेड ही लगाना है तो कितने तरह से लगा सकते हो, राइट? How many ways can you connect 4, 5, 6 variables? There's a limitation, right? So as far as if I connect variable 1 plus variable 2 minus variable 3, a hidden variable, is equal to variable 4. If I make this connection with 40 plus 10 is equal to 20, the value of variable 3 comes out to be 30. Whether it's this story or that story, the data structure is same. So when you are building your DI skills, you are also trying to build your ability to perceive what the data structure is. So these 5 things, I'm repeating them. Your data representation will start becoming repetitive. You can count the LOD1 sets, but LOD1 sets, मतलब ideally count मत करो, LOD2 से start करो count करना. या LOD1 में 2-3 set करते हो तो उसको एक मान के चलो, right? So ideally the I mean the LOD1 sets in my book are just the starters, this thing there. They're just there to start. And obviously they don't take much time to solve also. 3 to 5 minutes per set is what will take you. So you don't count those in your 250. Ideally, you should count the high quality sets that you're looking at. So what happens is because all this become repetitive, कोई भी data representation, I mean, that has to be your attitude. Any data representation, any calculation, any question language, it will trouble me only once in my life. I'll allow it to trouble me only one time in my life. I'll not allow it to trouble me a second time. So if you take this approach with data structures, etc., you end up in complete control of your data interpretation. Right? Now, when you talk about logical reasoning, on the other hand, so when you are not able to do a DI set, especially a logical DI set, why you're not able to do it? Essentially, because of the fact that you don't understand the variables and how they are connected. So essentially, it's going to be a data structure issue. It's going to be a data structure issue. What I mean by data structure, for example, CAT 2022, one of the sets I remember had a completely new data structure, which even somebody at my level had not seen. What they had done, I'm talking about the events set, if you remember that. What they had done was that they had created this data structure. That there's this number. This number is also an input to a second number. So there's this number that is being talked about. And then there is this number, which is a set or which is a merger of 3 numbers. So if I tell you that this is 10, so that 10 and this is 15, and then I tell you that this is 40, you should be able to perceive that this is 10, this is 15, and this is 15. Right? And how they'd build this, and on what basis they'd build this? They'd said that in a survey, students in a college or something like that were asked about whether they want to attend an event in the college, and different people gave preferences for 3-day event, 2-day event, and 1-day event. And then they said anybody who was interested in 3-day event was also interested in a 2-day event. And anybody who was interested in a 2-day event was also interested in a 1-day event. So what you got, or you got the perception you had to create from this data structure was that first, if somebody is interested in a 3-day event, there'll be a set of people who will be interested in a 3-day event. Then there'll be a set of people who will be interested in a 2-day event. This will include these people. Plus, there'll be a set of exclusive people who are not interested in 3-day event, but only interested in 2-day event. And then when you talk about people who are interested in a 1-day event, this includes 3 kinds of people. These people are included in this. Then these people who are interested in 2 days but not interested in 3 days, they are also included in this. And also there's a set of exclusive people who are only interested in a 1-day event, not interested in a 2-day and a 3-day event. So if you got this, and then they're split this between men and women. And then they had also introduced how many of them are dancers and how many of them are singers and how many of them are both, neither. So if you do not understand the data structure, you have absolutely no chance. When you read the clues, you've got absolutely no chance of structuring this. Right? Absolutely no chance of structuring this. So, so this is what you are basically looking at in this scenario. So parallelly, when you talk about logical reasoning, in logical reasoning, so you will not be able to do a DI set because you don't understand the data structure. 90% of the times that's what it is. So if you improve your data structure understanding and perception, you'll automatically. And as I said, after some time, things become repetitive. Data structures become repetitive. So a data structure can stump you if you keep this approach that a data structure can stump me only one time in my life. And if you've seen enough sets, the data structures you will see in the CAD will be similar to the ones you have come across. New data structures are very difficult to create. तो मेरे को बोल दो कि एक नया DI set बना दो, I can make it in maybe a couple of hours. New DI set create कर दीजिए, I can make it in a couple of hours. I'm creating DI sets for the CAD experience. It'll take me 2 hours to do it. You tell me create a new data structure for a DI set, I'll say, boss, मेरे को 2 दिन दे दो, सोचना पड़ेगा. Right? It's very difficult, very difficult. Right? And the other factor, when you talk about logical reasoning on the other hand, logical reasoning is a slightly different beast, because logical reasoning में क्या होता है? It's all about clue usage. Logical reasoning is all about clue usage. So what happens is logical reasoning, there's some basic information followed by clues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I'm just finishing off in the next couple of minutes. Followed by clues. So if you can utilize all the clues, you'll get through every DI set, every LR set. The clues will be enough for you to finish the set. The clues will be enough for you to finish the set. It'll be just sufficient. If you utilize all the clues, you'll get the answer to the question. So why you will not be able to solve an LR set is because you could not use this clue. Why we will not be able to use this clue? There'll be only 2 reasons. One reason will be that you don't understand the language of the clue. It's complicated language, so you're not able to understand what it's trying to say. And the second reason why you will not be able to understand a clue or use a clue is because of the fact that you're not able to. And in difficult sets, what happens is there's a clue order. There'll be only a particular order in which the clues have to be used. So while every clue is going to be critical, clue 1 can only be used after you've used clue 5, 6, 4, and 2. So if you do not fit clue 1 after using 5, 6, 4, 2, and you're trying to fit clue 3, which comes after clue 1 and 6, 1 and 7 are used, and you try to fit this in here, so you're not able to order the clues in the right order. Easy sets में क्या होता है कि कोई भी order 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 पढ़ लो, 7 6 5 4 3 2 1 पढ़ लो, 1 3 5 7 2 4 6 पढ़ लो, किसी भी order में पढ़ लो, solve हो जाएगा. Tough sets में there will be a particular clue order which will be. And naturally, of course, why we are talking about suggesting problem solving, learning, etc., is again, as you go through, if you do those 100 sets on assisted problem solving and those 300 sets of self problem solving, if you do this, every LR set will have 5 to 7 clues with it. So you'll have seen 2000 clues. So your ability to utilize clues will obviously get go to the top, go to the roof. If you are somebody who's only seen 10 to 20 sets, which means you've only seen and used 100 clues in your life, versus you become somebody who's used 2000 clues and seen them, that's more than enough, right? So that's about it in terms of what I wanted to talk about in today's session. So this is what you need to do broadly. Now I'm open to any queries, any questions you'd like to ask me now. So we have, as I was mentioning a little bit ago, before, we have these 2 courses for you guys. You can actually pick this up in the 24 DILR crash course. I've taught around 150 to 200 sets. In the CAD experience mocks, of course, there are 10 full-length mocks. Second edition is too old. It'll not be worth it. You can't use the second edition. It would have been built on CAD 2004, 2005. So